I'm Jane, and I'm going to be sound testing some Shar music violins that I ordered for a studio trial for my students. These are all violins in the $1,000 to $2,500 range, except for one outlier. I'm going to be playing them in the order of their value and then making comments as I hear them. I haven't tried them all yet, so I'm just going to be commenting as I play them in order to compare them with the sound that I'm familiar with and for you to have something to compare to. Since I'm trying all brand new violins, mostly made in China, I am first going to play a couple selections on my own violin. This is a German-made violin. It's about 100 years old. It wasn't a real special instrument when it was made, but it's special now because it's lasted for so long, and I really like the sound of it. So I'm going to play a couple things on this, and then I will try them on the other violins. I'm also going to use the same bow in each of the comparisons, and this is a bow that I bought from Shar about 8 years ago. It's a J.M. Lutherie is the name of the maker, and it's a Pernambuco bow, so I'm going to keep the same bow as I go through the instruments. So I'm going to do some things with different strings and different registers so we can hear the sonority of the different strings and compare the tone. So here's my German violin. I'm going to do a little something from the Baroque period and something from classical and something from romantic. So we'll start with the Brandenburg Concerto by Bach. And the little Mozart from the classical period. And some of Meditation by Thais, which is a good example of romantic violin literature. I'm going to kind of cut this in the middle so I can play part that's high and part that's low and goes high on the G string. Here's the G string part. Okay, I should mention too, all these violins are strung with different strings slightly, so the strings that I really like on this violin are the Obbligato set from Parastro. I'm actually experimenting with a mix of strings. I have the Vision Titanium Solos, G and D string, because they speak a little bit more clearly than the Obbligato. I have an Obbligato A and a Hill E, so I'm kind of playing with a mixture. But none of the other instruments have the same strings, so that will be changing from instrument to instrument. Okay, let's get started. Okay, our first new instrument we're going to try is a Carlo Lombardi Classic. This instrument is currently priced at $1,000 from Shar. It is made in China, and it's strung with Tomastic dominant strings. I'm going to play the same little tunes that I did on my violin to see how the difference of sound is. I should mention I'm not playing with music, so if I make a few mistakes, I guess we're testing what the violin sounds like for a student, how it responds to a student's flubs, and what we're looking for is an instrument that sounds nice so that the student playing it can have a good playing experience and want to continue to learn. So here's our Brandenburg. And our Mozart. a G major scale on each instrument as another good way to compare basic sounds of notes. Was just this instrument is quite a bit louder and bolder sounding than mine. I like the fact that it was quite pronounced in its voice. As I played it more, I think it had a little bit of a nasal quality to it, which is something I don't like in a lot of newer instruments that have a really bright sound. Some nice sounds off the lower strings, but a little bit brighter, I think, than I like in the upper registers, but had, again, a very good projection, amount of projection from it. So that's the Carlo Lombardi Classic. On to the next one. This next instrument is the Josef Schneider Stradivari model, priced at, I believe, $12.50 from Shar. And Stradivari model means it may have been designed to be a slightly brighter sound versus the Guarneri, which is designed to be a little bit darker, warmer sound. I have a couple of models coming up that are based around the Guarneri, so we'll see if that is indeed true. Anyway, this is the Stradivari model. Was a little bit warmer sounding than the last one I played, so not quite as bright as I was expecting from the Stradivari. I like the projection from this. The warmth of the tone was quite nice. Not bad for a brand new violin as far as the mellowness of the tone we were getting out of it. This is strung with dominant strings, if I didn't mention that, which is a basic middle of the road string set. Pretty nice. Try the next one. This next instrument is a Carlo Lombardi Master Guarneri model from Shar. It's regularly $17.50, currently $1,500 on sale, and it is strung with Vision titanium strings, which is a little bit more of a projecting type of string than the dominant, so we would expect to hear that in the sound. I should mention that previous violin was a made in Germany model. Most of the rest of these, like I said before, are made in China, so this is another Chinese made for Shar violin, the Carlo Lombardi Master Guarneri. kind of like the first one I tried. I really liked the projection. I heard it first. And then the more I played it, the more I felt like it had sort of a nasal tone to it, sort of a covered tone. It does have the titanium strings on it, which I think is making a difference in the projection. The A string sound is a little more brittle though. I actually found that on my own violin when I put some titanium vision strings on, that A was just a little bit, speaking a little bit too brightly, so I changed that for an obligato. So that might help on this one. The other thing I'm feeling on this one is that either the strings are a little bit higher, the action is a little bit higher than the other ones I tried, and there also seems to be a slightly narrower gauge between the strings when you're placing your fingers on one string. So I have a feeling that, especially for a student, it might be hard for them to get clearance when they're playing on one string, but you're playing double stops like this. I'm being really careful to place my fingers where they won't interfere with the second string, but I can feel my second finger is really hard not to touch the next door string, and I have small woman fingers, so I'm not a large person. So that's just a little bit different in the way this is set up. Otherwise, it's got a pretty nice sound. Not sure if I would spend the extra money over the previous instrument that I just played, because this one is about the same or maybe not quite as nice in my book. We'll try another one now. This is the Carl Josef Schneider Master Art, made in Germany violin, and it's at the $2,000 price point from Shar. Also brand new, but it has a little bit more of an older look to the wood that was chosen, and the varnish is not the bright shiny, it's a little more of a matte, so it looks like an older violin even though it's brand new. It's also strung with dominant strings. Let's see how this one sounds. This one, the higher I went on the string, the more I liked the sound. When I was in the lower positions and on open strings, I thought it had more of a nasal sound. It could be the strings themselves are giving us that quality, the dominant strings. A lot of times students will start off with an instrument with dominance or maybe more like a steel string, and I often recommend doing the obligatos, going with the obligato strings, because they really warm up the tone and make it a little bit darker. So if this violin had the obligato strings, I might get the sound that I'm looking for, but as it is, it's a little bit on the nasal side. Projects quite well, has a sweet tone up in the higher positions. Just not real fond of how it sounds when I was playing lower down. So that's the Carl Josef Schneider Master Art, $2,000. Now we're getting into the upper range of the price range that I was looking at violins for. This is a Chang violin, $2,500. It's his Guarneri model. I have an adult student that has this violin, and so this is one I'm actually familiar with, having heard it at lessons a lot, and I really like the sound of hers, and I've played it a bit, so I'm looking forward to hearing the same sound out of this one. This model and the next one after are strung with Paparazzi strings, which are a soloist string, and they're designed for higher or louder projecting sound, so it may have a pretty bold sound, I'm expecting. If you want to tone it down, again, you can try the obligato range. So here's the Chang Guarneri. Okay, of all the violins that I've tried so far, the only one that I would give up my old German violin for would be a violin that sounds like this one. It has a really warm sound. I really like it in spite of the Paparazzi strings, so the obligatos might actually be a little bit too dense for this violin. It has a nice sound even with the extra bright strings on it, or extra projecting strings. This one has a lot of antiquing done to the finish to make it look like an old violin. Again, I'm really not a huge fan of that. I'd prefer that the violin look like whatever it is. When a brand new violin looks old, I guess it's like you're trying to impress people with your old violin, but it sounds very nice for a new violin. That's a $2,500. And again, this is based on around the Guarneri design and model, which was known for its darker, warmer sound, and that is definitely what we get out of this John Chang model. Okay, here I have another John Chang model violin. This is his limited edition, I guess it's called. John Chang Limited Series violin. This is a $3,000 violin. This is one that Shar sent me in my shipment that I didn't actually ask for, so I have not researched this violin. I didn't choose it off the Shar site, so I'm not really sure what the differences are supposed to be between this and the $2,500 Guarneri John Chang that I just played. So we'll play it and find out if we can detect what that might be. It has a similar faux antique finish, and it's also set up with Paparazzi strings. To the one I just played. As soon as I started playing it, I felt like it had a boomier sound, maybe more of a bottom end to the tone. It's picking up a little bit more of the bass notes and reverberating with those more, or resonating, I guess I should say. It had a very sweet sound, especially in the upper registers. I really liked the sounds I was getting from the E string. Overall, I think it's a little bit of a louder instrument, more projecting than the one I just played, so it might be good for a student or an adult who is interested in solo type playing, where they need a lot of carrying power. That's probably too why it's set up with the Paparazzi strings. So that's a very nice instrument also. This last instrument is one that I did not ask for from Shar, but they sent it in place of one that was on back order that's about the same price point, which is why I think they sent it to me, so I had something to try at this price range. This is a $4,500 instrument. Actually, maybe it's $4,200. This is Ming Zhang Zhu Workshop, made for Shar, and I believe it's called their Artist Series. It's strung with Peter Infeld strings by Tomastic, and I have never used that type of string before. It's kind of, I guess, similar to a dominant, sort of in the middle of the playability range as far as the volume versus the brightness versus the darkness. But they're a little bit more of a specialty string, so I don't know how that exactly affects the sound. So let's see how this one sounds. broad and dark bottom end. A lot of projection out of this as well. Probably another good instrument for a soloist versus an orchestral player. Had some really nice sweetness in the upper registers. Again, it's a lot more, it's almost twice the amount of the Chang Guarneri in the price. So when you're purchasing an instrument, you want to be thinking about how much more sound are you getting for your money. You might really like the sound and want to pay a couple $1,000 more for this than you would for the Guarneri, the Chang Guarneri that I played earlier. Or maybe not. Maybe you want to go with the less expensive instrument and invest the money in a great bow or something like that. So another really nice instrument. I wish I had the final instrument at this price range to test right now against these other ones, and I'll try to add that onto the video when that comes, because it's on back order. I hope you enjoyed this opportunity to hear a bunch of new violins from Shar in the intermediate price range, I guess we'd say, for advancing students. I'm going to do another video in the next few days with comparing some bows also in that upper intermediate to lower advanced price range. Stay tuned for that.